spent quite a bit of time with family this past week. My brother visited last week. He lives in the West Coast. I live in the East Coast, so I hadn't seen him in about a year. And had an aunt and uncle visit over the weekend. And so it was nice. I hadn't seen them probably even longer, probably more than a year. And of course, my brother's in town, so I saw my parents. My dad's retired, traveling the world now, enjoying the good life. And so there's a lot of emotions that came up seeing immediate family and extended family. It made me very grateful, feel grateful for what I guess my parents had given me. And this hasn't always been the case. For a lot of my life, I was actually quite ungrateful. I didn't have the happiest childhood. My dad was far from the perfect dad. He had a very tough love type of attitude towards parenting. It didn't always result in the happiest of times, you know? But the passage of time, you get older, I was able to realize, you know, there are things my dad couldn't give me, which was, I guess, not a whole lot of love when I was a kid, but it's all right. He gave me something else, which is a really ironclad work ethic. It ensures that I'll never have to worry about being on the streets or, you know, living paycheck to paycheck. It was something my dad had instilled in me. It's like something to be ashamed of and to be scared of. And so that's where the work ethic comes from. It's to always push yourself the hardest. And I mean, that's enough about me for now. I want to talk about other people in the world. Maybe you're watching. Chances are there's probably a lot more you can be grateful for that you may not even have realized unless you sit down and really like think about it and give yourself time to contemplate. Turn off your smartphone, turn off the distractions of the world, your television, right? I mean, of course there's exceptions. Some people came from really, really bleak, hopeless, terrible backgrounds, broken home. Maybe they had an abusive parent that never showed them any love, never gave them any support, didn't teach them any life skills that would help them succeed. I saw someone speak about that. He was this African American public speaker and grew up in a complete ghetto. I think he ran away from home early on in his teens, probably because there was nothing there at his home. And he was homeless in his like high school years, homeless, living in a drug den, a drug dealer's house. And he was telling the story about how the cops came in to bust the drug house. They arrested the drug dealers, but they didn't arrest him. They could tell, the cops could tell that this kid, as he described himself, this just dirty, homeless black kid with long dreads, you know, hadn't had a haircut in like forever or whatever. The cops were like, he's not one of the drug dealers. So they knew not to arrest him. They arrested the real criminals in the house. So, and this guy was saying he was, I mean, at that early of an age, you're like 18, barely an adult, whatever, turning 18, it had pretty much almost lost all hope. And he said the moment that changed for him and turned his life around, and now he's able to go around, speak to people, around the country about his life and his message. Said the moment was he got down on his knees and he looked up to the sky. He said a prayer. He asked God, he said, God, if you give me one more chance to get some sort of job, any job, one more chance to turn my life around so that I don't have to be homeless anymore. You know, he was probably begging on the streets as well for money. He said, I'll spend the rest of my life serving you. And he said after that happened, probably not immediately after, but he said he got a job, part-time job, probably some menial labor, sweeping floors or something really, really low level. But for someone like that, it's like, it's a start. He just needed something. He just needed money. And he got that job. Then he got another part-time job, so he had 2 part-time jobs. I think he got up to 3 part-time jobs at that point. He was able to no longer be homeless, actually able to get a place to live and pay for. And yeah, from there, it completely went from, you know, in an alternate timeline, he probably would have just been another one of those homeless alcoholics or drug addicts, right? You see on the streets that completely wasted their lives and didn't go anywhere. But he managed to do something, and I don't know if this is true, but I would assume he must be grateful, not for where he came from, obviously, but grateful that he said that prayer, and grateful that he was able to have faith in something, right? So think about that. A guy like that was able to be grateful and have faith and still have hope and go from the worst of situations to being a public motivational speaker. And so I bet most of you watching this did not come from something like that. You probably had at least a parent or a relative or even a friend or there's something in your life growing up that you can be grateful for that helped you not become, or rather live a relatively successful life. Because in America, I mean, really, most of us are living decent lives. I mean, if you got a roof over your head, you've probably got a big screen TV, you've got a smartphone, like I've got a smartphone right now, right? I mean, you got a computer in your pocket somewhere, or your purse, or whatever. So yeah, if you can be grateful, think about these things you can be grateful for, it's much easier to not only get all those negative thoughts out of your head, but you can achieve even more once you realize all that you've already been given and that you already have. Imagine how much more you can achieve and enjoy and go pursue once you realize how far you've come living in the modern world. I think that's all. If you enjoyed this, subscribe. I'll be back soon enough. Thanks.